Is it out of pocket to say that Wonder Woman might just be one of, if not the most recognizable yet underrated and underutilized DC character? Yes, she's very iconic and is seen often throughout the DC universe, but not a lot of people seem to understand why the character serves such a vital role, or why she deserves her spot as a member of DC's Trinity. Most people can recognize her based off her character design, but they're going to be dead silent if you ask them to name 5 Wonder Woman villains or name anything substantial about her lore other than her origin. A large part of this stems from DC's sheer neglect of the character and years going by with them not having faith in either a female-led project or just not having enough confidence in Diana herself. Sure, you have the success of the 2017 Wonder Woman movie. It made a lot of money and plenty of people seem to like it. But the movie itself didn't really entice casual audiences to delve deeper into the character's history or demand for more Wonder Woman content in other media. Not to mention the sequel, Wonder Woman 1984, well, to put it kindly, it's
It's awful.
Max Lord, you're putting yourself and everyone else in grave danger. I need you to give me the stone. What happened to it?
I don't want to be like anyone anymore. I want to be number one, an apex predator.
It's especially bizarre how WB didn't take the opportunity to actually bank off the success of the first movie by giving her an animated series. There are only a few Wonder Woman adaptations, all of which are animated, that do the character any sort of justice, but most have very limited screen time. Some of the best depictions of Wonder Woman in general include certain comic runs written by writers like George Perez, who reimagined the character after the Crisis on Infinite Earths reboot. Gail Simone, Phil Jimenez, Greg Rucka are just a few examples of writers who seem to have a fair understanding of how to actually write Wonder Woman. It's an out-of-continuity book that has a different take on the character while still keeping her core personality. But have y'all read the first issue of Absolute Wonder Woman from the Absolute lineup of books DC's been pumping out? Yeah, the book fire, ain't it?
I'm about to bust.
Go pick up a damn comic book. I'm sick and tired of y'all always raving and talking about comic book movies and other comic book related media, yet won't even bother going to a comic shop.
And for any of you that needs a fucking initiative, you get your ass over there and you read this goddamn book. I'm not gonna keep fucking telling you to get to the comic shop and buy these books. If I gotta keep whooping your ass, I will. It's not a game. You get your ass over there and you spend your money. I'm not gonna keep telling your ass again.
I'd imagine for a lot of you, your first introduction or primary exposure to Wonder Woman might have been the DCEU with Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, which had Wonder Woman be a full-time founding member of the Justice League. Some of the issues with the lack of Wonder Woman lore being explored kind of start here because despite the amount of screen time given to Diana, barely any of her villains or side characters are present in arcs where she is a center protagonist, which normally wouldn't be too glaring of an issue, but since she never had her own animated series like Batman and Superman, audiences won't really know what to expect with her supporting cast. Some of the only villains that show up are Circe, which Diana barely interacts with as she gets turned into a pig, and the episode centers on Batman and Zatanna. There was also Ares and some original character they created that wanted to get rid of all men in the world or something. Villains like Giganta and Cheetah show up in a couple episodes here and there, yet oddly enough, I don't think either one of them ever interacted with Wonder Woman. Cheetah actually has more screen time with Batman out of all characters.
And now I'm a freak.
That's not what I see. Let's just say cats aren't the only ones who are curious.
Too much curiosity can be dangerous.
Maybe I like danger.
Back then, there was this supposed Wonder Woman embargo, as some people like to call it, where there were legal troubles preventing Wonder Woman and her side characters from appearing in a multitude of other projects, whether it be in live action or animation. One of the first stated cases of this was in 2000 when Paul Dini said Big Barda was used as a member of the Justice League instead of Wonder Woman and Batman Beyond due to a licensing issue. If they wanted to do Wonder Woman as a series, they could, but when it comes to her guest starring in something else, that's when problems arise. This is also why Wonder Girl never showed up in the Teen Titans cartoon from the early 2000s. I couldn't find any actual concrete confirmations as to why this was a thing. Many speculated it was a legal restriction placed by the Marston family since William Moulton Marston was the creator of Wonder Woman. Whatever the legal troubles were that prevented Wonder Woman from showing up in more animated projects, that issue seemed to have been resolved around the early 2010s since Cassie Sandsmark Wonder Girl made her debut in animation in Young Justice Season 2, as well as Donna Troy appearing in those DC Superhero Girls animated shorts on Cartoon Network. I think up potential reason for this is similar to the infamous Bat embargo, which prohibited Batman from appearing in certain DC shows if they ever planned to use the character in a theatrical film like in the Dark Knight trilogy. They probably had a similar mindset for Wonder Woman whenever a theatrical movie or another project was in the works. Joss Whedon actually wrote the script for a Wonder Woman movie back in 2006. He was set to also direct the movie, but the project never progressed to the casting phase. The writing in question is actually terrible, some doo-doo butt writing for Wonder Woman if I've ever seen it. Some of the dialogue and scenery just reads off as a guy who was glad he got to write Wonder Woman and proceeded to write the story with one hand. The draft in its entirety is pretty easy to find online. Take a look at some of this nonsense. The notable Steve Trevor says, "I don't like confusing. I hate the fact that I'm so attracted to you. Just touching you is overwhelming and I keep hoping you'll turn around so I can see more of you naked."
What in the actual fuck?
She moves her leg back and turns fluidly, a curve rippling up her body as she folds into a dance that is sensual, ethereal, and wicked sexy.
What?
This is not a warrior march, though it remains idiosyncratic. It is neither out of place nor unnoticed on the crowded floor. Griffin and Ben watch enraptured. "Are you watching this?" Griffin, big-eyed, "It's like Christmas." Diana lies face down on the bed, naked, arm draped over the edge, a sheet loosely over her lower parts as Steve gently sponges off her wounds.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
The movie basically centers more on Steve Trevor more so than Wonder Woman herself, so yeah, thank God it never came into fruition. Joss Whedon saw the opportunity to write a script for Wonder Woman and said,
I've been coming. I'm going to continue to come. Skip's been coming. He's going to continue to come. And people just need to get over that.
With all of this talk about her never getting her own animated series, there have at least been attempts in the past to get Wonder Woman projects up and running. In the 90s, Mattel wanted to release a series of toys called Wonder Woman and the Star Riders that would be released alongside a comic series and an animated show. The show never released, but one of the people who worked on the early stages of the show, Boyd Kirkland, tried to pitch to Fox Kids a Wonder Woman show multiple times but was rejected each time. He had some early artwork and character designs for the show. The creator of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, Deborah Joy Levine, was tasked to write a pilot for a Wonder Woman show in the 90s and wanted to come up with a new take on Wonder Woman, going as far as not reading the comics so that she wouldn't be influenced. It would have featured Diana as a young Greek history professor struggling to balance her personal life with her work. For whatever reason, the project fell apart and never continued development. Y'all remember the solo Wonder Woman animated movie that came out in 2009? One of only 2 Wonder Woman animated movies thus far. Bruce Timm revealed there was a planned sequel for the movie, but the DVD sales had a slow start, so the executives decided not to focus on female superhero flicks for a while, since it wasn't able to sell quickly right away. Despite it having slow sales initially, the movie ended up being one of the highest selling DC animated movies to date, ranking as the 4th best-selling DC animated movie. There was also an attempt to develop another live-action Wonder Woman show, which was set to air in 2011 on NBC, featuring Diana as a vigilante in Los Angeles, but also as a corporate executive, running as CEO of Themyscira Industries. The pilot was actually filmed with Wonder Woman getting a whole costume and everything. The criticism of the unreleased pilot was abysmal because it wasn't good, and NBC ended up canceling the whole thing. In 2012, the CW planned to develop a Wonder Woman prequel series called Amazon that would focus on Diana's origins. So essentially, it would have been Wonder Woman's equivalent to Smallville, so to speak. However, in 2014, it was announced by The Hollywood Reporter that the show would no longer be in development. The animated Tomorrowverse had a movie titled Justice Society World War II, which featured Barry Allen in the present day from Earth 1 traveling back in time to Earth 2, where he encounters Wonder Woman and the Justice Society fighting in World War II. The producer of the film revealed that he was initially working on a Wonder Woman animated series set in World War II, but as per usual, the executives didn't think Wonder Woman could stand out on her own, as this idea was in the works before the DCEU film came out, so it eventually morphed into a JSA movie with Wonder Woman as a leading role. Some problems with adapting Wonder Woman have to deal with comic writers or creatives struggling to pinpoint what makes Diana so special and why it's intriguing to explore her stories.
What should you do to make Wonder Woman a good character for everyone to see?
God, if I know. It's tough because I'm going to repeat myself. I've said this 4 or 5 times tonight already, but she's a paradox of amongst comic book characters. She's the most famous female superhero, She's, you know, right up there with Superman, Batman in terms of, you know, DC characters. But as to what makes her tick, it's different. When you look at Superman and Batman, you can say, oh yeah, Frank Miller's Batman, that's Batman, or you know, Christopher Reeve's Superman, that's Superman. With Wonder Woman, you can't really do that. It's like, I like the Linda Carter Wonder Woman show a lot, but it's not really what makes Wonder Woman what she is. I mean, she's powerful. I mean, these are good things about her, and at the same time, it makes her a difficult character to work with dramatically in a story. Is that she's strong. She's, you know, she's a kick-ass warrior, but she's also compassionate. She's wise, you know. So it's like she's headstrong, but she's wise. It's like, well, how does that work? You know, she kind of. It's like all of these things that are attributed to her in the comics are paradoxical.
But yeah, what made you want to do Wonder Woman, or was Wonder Woman kind of one of those things where someone said, "Why don't you do Wonder Woman?"
I have to say I wasn't looking for Wonder Woman for sure. In fact, I would say I was looking not to do Wonder Woman because I've written her a few times, and
yeah,
I mean I like my issues I've done with her. I did some Batmans with her. She was super fun. She was in Heroes in Crisis a little bit, and mostly I was like, I don't have a feel for this character. She's very hard to write. I write her just naturally. I write her with an accent. I don't know why. Probably from watching the obviously from the movies. But in my head, she talks a little bit. You know, she has kind of a Greekish accent, and
sure,
and people are like, "Why does she talk so silly, Tom?" I've seen, you know, like, and so there's that. And Wonder Woman has never been. I mean, I'm just to be super honest with you. Like, I've now read a ton of Wonder Woman comics, but I was never a regular Wonder Woman reader. I never, as a kid, I didn't have her on my pull list.
The hesitance to explore Wonder Woman's vast mythos leads to a lot of misconceptions and negative biases towards her. Since many people are unfamiliar with her lore, casual fans often make blatant assumptions that because it is barely explored, it must be bad or uninteresting. Hell, even I've said some nonsense on the technological advancements of the Amazons in Themyscira, for example. Why on God's green earth would Lex Luthor of all people praise Wonder Woman like this? Talking about some, oh, they've solved so many of our society's ills, like lagging technology. Like, dog, they're not Wakanda. They're not that technologically advanced of a nation at all. Ah, yes, because swords, shields, and bows and arrows are just peak technological advancement.
What the fuck is this nigga talking about?
Yeah, I don't know what that Negro was yapping about. Themyscira, in a visual sense, has a more ancient aesthetic or vibe to it, but the Amazons carry some crazy technology and magic in their arsenal. It depends on the era, since DC flip-flops on Wonder Woman's continuity and lore constantly, but some examples of advanced technology include a literal tractor beam, purple healing ray that can be used during surgeries. There's also the magical basis of the Amazons' existence, like the Well of Souls, which reincarnates women who died in acts of violence on man's world into the Themysciran sisterhood. I'm pretty sure that idea was established in George Perez's era of Wonder Woman. You've got gifts from some of the Greek goddesses themselves, such as magical spheres from Athena, which allow the women from Themyscira to communicate across great distances. DC changing her origin and abilities throughout the decades also doesn't help in people's ignorance on who she is as a character. Is she born from clay, as it was established in post-crisis DC comics, or is she the daughter of Zeus, which was established in the New 52? She's not. Is she around the same age as Batman and Superman, sometimes being depicted as slightly younger than the both of them? Or is she thousands of years old and immortal instead? Is she in her early 20s, like in the New 52? Or was she actually born a few hundred years after 1200 BC? There are several reasons as to why she deserves more glaze, and Wonder Woman slander in modern day should not be tolerated. Firstly, she can box, she can scrap. People have the general idea that she's a skilled combatant, but I think some really underestimate her combat ability. Wonder Woman is consistently regarded as one of the best hand-to-hand fighters in the DC universe. Her combat speeds are nothing to sneeze at. She points out how Superman, for example, is faster in raw speed, but she would be faster in a combat scenario due to her being a trained warrior since she was a child. And her reaction speeds are a result of just sheer muscle memory. To clear this up, Batman makes the comparison of who's faster between Usain Bolt and Bruce Lee. One of the coolest showcases of her skill set is when Wonder Woman ended up blind for a short period after her battle with Medusa. The Justice League wanted to evaluate her to see if she's still up to the task of being a League member. She's able to hold her own pretty well in a sparring match, blindfolded against several members of the Justice League at once, which included the likes of the Flash, Plastic Man, Martian Manhunter, and Black Canary. Superman and Batman are watching from above, with Superman noting how well she's doing, but Batman states she's having trouble with the Flash's speed. Immediately afterwards, he realizes Diana is adapting and can sense the changes in the air pressure around her as the other League members move. Even without her sight, she's able to tango with powerhouses like Plastic Man and Martian Manhunter, along with being able to react fast enough to deflecting bullets at point-blank range. Yeah, everyone held back against Wonder Woman except for Batman, but it's still an impressive feat regardless. I'd say it's pretty significant if Batman's contingency plan for Wonder Woman isn't through traditional means like, oh, just throw this device at her to knock her out or something. Batman developed a VR chip that would be inserted into her brain to make her believe she was fighting an opponent of equal strength and engaged in a never-ending battle. Basically, it would be a waiting game where she fights an imaginary opponent until her heart gives out, as she never backs down from a fight.
Agamemnon contingency, file code name Olympus. Diana is a good friend, which is just one reason it would be difficult to face her in combat should she turn against the League. It's not a thought I relish. But if it must be done, the following strategy could be useful. If she could be convinced that she is fighting an equal, she could then theoretically be trapped in an unending cycle of combat against a phantom opponent. Must investigate feasibility of neural virtual reality technology.
At one point in time, Batman and a couple of other Justice League members got ambushed and captured by the Injustice League. Once Batman escaped, he focused on rescuing Wonder Woman first, as he described her as the best melee fighter in the world. Animation, I think, best encapsulates her fighting prowess, whether it would be in a few animated movies or the Justice League Unlimited series. Y'all remember when Wonder Woman was mind controlled thanks to roulette and fought a bunch of other heroines in a cage match? Hawkgirl knew real quick her, Huntress, Black Canary, and Vixen were getting mollywopped. She tried to skedaddle out of there ASAP.
We're getting creamed here.
A couple of my favorite fight scenes come from Justice League Crisis on Two Earths, where she fought Superwoman, and in Superman Batman Apocalypse, where her and Big Barda fought Granny Goodness's female Furies on Apocalypse.
Submit.
Man, could you imagine seeing some of those moves in live action? Especially if there are any plans for a Wonder Woman solo movie in the first chapter of James Gunn's DCEU. I really hope they hone in on her combat skills. Boy, I would act up for real.
Oh, Lord, don't get me salivating and fantasizing about things. Oh my God.
Don't let all that sauce and her combat ability fool you. A core of Diana's personality is her sense of truth and compassion. She has a very maternal and caring nature, encompassing some of the best qualities a person could have. I mean, when the Greek gods helped Hippolyta in gifting her a daughter when she molded Diana from clay, they blessed her with the wisdom of Athena, grace of Aphrodite, and the swiftness of Hermes. On numerous occasions, she served as a UN ambassador for Themyscira, and she advocates for equality and peaceful coexistence between sexes and cultures around the world. For instance, she can speak 9 different languages, with Cantonese and Mandarin being a couple she's fluent in. Funny enough, one of her abilities most people don't know about is that she can communicate with animals. The gift is usually seen given to Diana by one of the Greek goddesses and has been depicted as both verbal and telepathic communication. Her willingness and wanting to help others is evident in her contributions to numerous humanitarian efforts. At one point, Diana established the Wonder Woman Foundation to aid her mission in sharing the values, beliefs, and teachings of the Amazons and the gods. Some of the foundation's acts included teaching farmers Amazon methods of soil preservation in ecologically damaged areas and building schools in poor rural areas. Combining a strong sense of honor with a commitment to standing up for those in need, she is ready to face anyone who poses a potential danger to her and others. Her profound empathy and compassion, even for her enemies like Circe and especially Cheetah, make her a really good role model for the DC universe.
You've always been an inspiration to me. Barda, seriously, Diana, when someone brings hope to another person, It's a gift.
She could literally spend time trying to connect and understand someone who was locked up in a specialized prison cell for trying to kill her in hopes of becoming more of a friend. I've seen people argue and complain about Wonder Woman being an overall boring character and that she's a very stoic figure who isn't relatable since she has so many redeeming qualities. Yeah, can we stop trying to downplay prominent heroic figures just because they seem innately flawless on the surface and don't have complex morals? From now on, I'm gonna need any and all Wonder Woman and Superman slander to be eradicated.
Leave it, let it lie. I'm talking about that shit no more.
I don't know why people have this mentality that a fictional character is boring or not as compelling if they're not relatable to the average person. It's nice to see when a superhero is relatable, but that's not the crux of what can make them interesting. A lot of superheroes serve as role models and what people aspire to be like. Take Batman for instance. Ironically, Superman is more relatable than Batman when you think about it, taking into account his life as Clark Kent and his relationships with his friends and family. Personally, I don't relate much to a white boy born into one of, if not the wealthiest family in Gotham, whose parents died at just 8 years old and has carried that trauma all the way into adulthood to fight crime. But guess what though? He's still the coolest superhero. That's my GOAT. He's still the GOAT.
Oh my God, bro. Is dick riding all you do? No, I'm saying you literally got that nigga dick in your mouth right now. I see it.
I pray none of you view the Injustice version as representative of how Wonder Woman is depicted in the source material. That iteration couldn't be further from how Diana would truly act in any crisis situation. No, Wonder Woman does not have a hard-on for Superman. No, she would never allow one of her close friends to become a dictator, considering her primary mission is to use her knowledge to spread peace and love in man's world.
But the dick riding Wonder Woman was doing was severely unneeded. I understand that the entire point of her character is to goad Superman on and tell him, yes, Superman, I think you should kill those prisoners, Superman. Yes, you have the biggest wee-wee, Superman. But the way that she does it with so much grimace and attitude just never fails to piss me off.
If Wonder Woman sees one suffering through grief or anguish, she's the type to lend out a helping hand regardless if you were once considered a friend or an enemy. She's not the type to manipulate one's grief to further create a warpath and rule with an iron fist. If this is how you see Wonder Woman because of the Injustice games, please pick up a comic, just one, God forbid bootleg some online if you have to. What, too soon? Damn, my fault, OG.
My fault, OG. No, ain't no my fault. Run your pockets, yo.
Regardless of whether the next adaptation is seen in animation or eventually a live-action appearance in James Gunn's universe, I think it's important to incorporate the fantasy elements. Many of Wonder Woman's teachings and acts of kindness stem from the Amazon's knowledge of the Greek gods, and many of her weapons have been granted by divine power. Her ties to some of those characters I think helps her stand out from the dozens of other superpowered individuals in DC lore. Her being an ambassador for peace is something that does not get explored enough in media. Yes, you see her adopt some of her known traits in wanting to advocate for peace, but you never really see her as an actual ambassador for Themyscira. There's especially a lack of love for her rogues gallery. Have her go head to head with powerful telepaths like Dr. Psycho, powerful godlike characters akin to that of Circe and Medusa. Wonder Woman is a cool character with a rich history that, if actually adopted with care, might convince general audiences that they've been missing out on some good content for a good while now.